2 weeks ago, I went to Riyadh in advance of this year's Saudi Cup, which will be run on Saturday. The defending champion is Mishriff, and if he wins the race, and you'll be able to see the race live with us here on Racing TV, then he will become the richest thoroughbred racehorse in history. He is owned and was bred by Prince Faisal, who was telling me about how the horse got his name and about his deep love of the sport of thoroughbred racing. In all your life in racing, what did winning the Saudi Cup with this horse mean to you?
A lot. It's the first Saudi Cup I run in. I've left racing here altogether because it was getting too much for me. I'm an addict. When I had my horses here, I used to have lunch and go to the stable. And I'll be there until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I never saw my children, my friends, the whole time. So I said, no, I can't do this for the rest of it. I'm getting too old for this. Have them in England, go for a month, come back, and then go whenever you want to go.
So to bring a horse that was trained in England back here to a race that had been newly created must have had a huge amount of significance for you.
It did. I couldn't see. First, it's Saudi Arabia. To me, that means a lot. Second, I couldn't believe how people didn't like that track. I think it's the best track in the world. It's the only track that any kind of horse could go on. And I told John, he said, oh, it's dirt. I said, don't worry, it's a very kind track. I'd rather have it than all that grass you have there.
In terms of Mishriff as an embodiment of what you've tried to achieve as a breeder through your life, how much does that really resonate with you?
It meant a lot that he was homebred, which I didn't really plan it, but when I went to see the eunuchs at Ted's, I looked at them and said, there's one proper horse in this whole lot. And that was Mishriff. You know, you never know what you're getting when you breed them. But you try and hope that some of them are good, and you get to believe it if they bred them.
When you saw him as a young horse, as a foal, why did you identify him as the one with potential?
As a
what
foal,
did you see?
He was horrible. The first picture I got from him, his legs were standing like that and going all over the place. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? And then Coolmore, 2 weeks later, sent me another picture, and he looked like a horse. So when I went in the summer, he was about 7, 8 months old, and they took the horses out. There were some nice horses there, but he looked like a proper horse. And John thought so. He said, send me something like this, I can train it. I said, you're the best trainer in the world. You should be able to train anything.
Now, you describe yourself as an addict. When did the addiction begin? When were you hooked on horses, and why?
4 years old.
4 years old?
I remember the first horse I'd been on as I was 3-year-old. And then we just rode out to the desert, tied them down, played soccer, and rode them back to the stable and ride in the morning. So
were you hooked from then? It was that sense of adrenaline?
Oh, yeah. I used to go to the stable every afternoon, whenever in summer holidays, because the stable was in Taif, and we were living in Jeddah. Mm-hmm. Every afternoon, that's what I did.
And Mishriff was your trainer at the time?
Yeah, well, he was teaching me. He taught me. Mm-hmm. He taught me the Arab way of looking at a horse. And he was a very, very good trainer and jockey.
So what is the Arab way of looking at a horse? What would you have learned from the man, Mishriff?
The build of a horse. What to look at. What matters, what doesn't matter. And what I did, when I went there and I found a completely different way in your country, I tried to sort of merge them and use, and I still look at a horse when I first see him like I look at an Arab horse.
What is it that you learned from your original trainer, Mishriff? When you're looking at a horse,
Everything.
what do you want to see? What do you want to see? What stands out for you?
Balance. Every part of the horse has, with the Bedouins, had some significance. From the nose all the way back and from up to down. Because you got to remember, it's not racing to them. I must have said I looked a lot less of the front legs not going like that or going like that. I still buy them with the legs going like if I like them, especially if they're going out. But it's the neck, the shoulder, the back, the hind quarter, and the legs all down.
And when it came to starting to breed your own horses, tell me where the turning point was there. When did you think, yeah, I feel like I know what I'm doing here, what I'm looking for?
Missed a lot of good mares. I think there would have been good mares, because I was thinking of breeding. I just finished racing, sent it to the sale. I never put a reserve, I never put anything. But then Rafa came along. She was too small. She's 14.3 when she won the French Oaks. But she's perfect. I said, well, if I send this to the sales, she's not going to make any money. So why not try breeding?
I'm intrigued by Rafa, just going back to her, because she won a classic for you for Sir Henry Cecil.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got on with Henry Cecil. What was he like? What was he like to have horses with?
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There's nothing like that breakfast table. You find very knowledgeable people and very funny people. I went there at 9 o'clock every time. I was in Newmarket and we never stopped laughing.
You describe John Gosden as the best trainer in the world.
I think, to me, he and Fabre are the best in Europe. John, I've never seen anybody so good with detail like John. It's ridiculous. I thought I was good with details, and then I sit with him and say, just do what you want. I like my trainer to talk to me, whether it's bad, good, or ugly. What's the fun for me of having a horse you don't know anything about?
So is it more, it's not that you want to tell the trainers how to train the horses, or you want to...
I just want to know.
You just want to talk about the horses.
And I want to know.
Yeah.
And I want to know where we're going. Where do you think we're going? I don't mind if he changes his mind.
But you love it so much that you would sit and talk all day.
I could talk for hours. I mean, I go to London. My sons, I drive them crazy. They all want to go out to restaurants. I say, go. I sit there, I order something to eat, and I was racing all afternoon.
So you really are an addict.
Oh, you should have seen me when I was here. I would have lunch about this time, get in my car, go to the stable, stay in the stable, have dinner at the stable, and get out not before 12 o'clock.
So John Gosden gives you what you want in that respect. He'll sit and talk horses with you.
He'll tell you.
So obviously the person who's going to be most associated with this horse, with Mishriff, when he retires, is David Egan, the biggest career success in the Saudi Cup.
And I'm glad I did give him something.
You gave a young man a big chance when you took him on. Why? What did you see?
I saw a good rider. He still needs to get some experience about the pace.
But are you enjoying helping him develop as a rider?
I love it.
Does that give you a kick?
He's a nice man. He's a nice boy.
And is that continuity important to you? Somebody who gets to know the horse, you get to know them.
As long as he has the brains to get something out of every time he rides.
How important for the horse, for Mishriff, was that victory in the Juddmonte International?
Well, I'll tell you what. From when we came out of here, that was my Ann Jones target. He doesn't like soft ground. He wouldn't mind it good to soft. But soft ground, I don't think it's good ground is his best. good to firm, good soul.
In what respect were you thinking that the Juddmonte International would be the stallion-making race for him? This would be the race that everybody would sit up and take him seriously?
It's always been rated as the best race in Europe. If you look at the ratings, and look at the winners. They all found good homes.
So what do you hope for him when his racing career is over? What do you really want for him? What's your dream?
I would love for him to go to a stud where they'll give him the chance he deserves. The rest is up to him.
And would it matter where in the world it was?
I'd rather be in England or Ireland because of me. I'm lazy. It's closer for me. I wouldn't mind America.
I want to talk a little bit more specifically about the Saudi Cup. You've told me what it means to you as a race because of your upbringing here and the fact that you trained horses here. How important for this nation and its place in the racing world is this race, do you think?
I told Prince Faisal, I'm bringing my best horse. Because if he wins it, and he goes back to England and wins a good race, people will bring up the standard of that. But David rode a beautiful race that day. He rode a perfect race.
As far as the profile of racing in the kingdom is concerned, the global profile.
Right now, it already come up. I mean, from a condition race to Group 1, it's never happened before.
So there's great potential, there's great scope. Is there the interest? Is there the appetite? Do you see the interest growing in young people in Saudi Arabia?
Oh, Mishriff did a lot. You should have seen the internet. People were dancing. And because he was called Mishriff.
Because people remember the significance of Mishriff, the man, and what he did for you. So you feel there's enough genuine affection for the thoroughbred in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to sustain this. This isn't just...
Nobody loves racing on horses like Arabs.
And that instinct that you were talking about, that instinct from the Bedouins, as you were saying, of needing the horse that's going to get you out of trouble, that's going to run quite literally for your life. You feel that still is a thread running through this country and the people in this country?
No, I came for the race. I did what I did for the country last year. But this year, I came for the race. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's the biggest race in the world as prize money goes, and people talk like it's a Brighton or Bath handicap. I think you have too many tracks in England. I think you need, that's why I'm supporting Mr. Motherfish there. He's trying working very hard on it. Why can't you have like FIFA for racing? Why don't you have something, a top organization that everybody gets in, and it gives the same rules for everybody?
So you'd like to see a more global sport?
It has to be. It has to be.
Same rules?
Same rules. You know where you're going. You know what you're doing. Why not?
What do you make of racing in Britain now? Because you've had so much success in the UK, and you obviously love having horses in training there. Do you look at the landscape of racing in the UK and still see something healthy, or do you feel
it? I see a very, very unhealthy thing.
Tell me why.
Why? I mean, where's the money going from racing? How much money is made by racing? Can you tell me? You're British. You are. How much money is racing making? Bookmakers and things like that. And who's supporting that? Who's getting the raw deal? I think it doesn't bother me, but it's the owners that are losing. I mean, you keep a horse for 20,000 a year to win a race for 2,000 a year. It's ridiculous. No, people are not going to stay in it for that long. You don't have horse people now in the thing. You have more of gambling people. I'd like horse racing to have more horse people, people that love the horse a bit more.
And do you feel that's changed then, since you first started going racing? Just instinctively, do you feel that's different?
I think it's completely different. When I started racing, I mean, everything was costing everybody less.
If you did have betting here, and
we
it was
won't.
Ever?
I hope not. I hope not while I'm alive.
Hypothetically, if they ever did, and all the money went back into the sport, so it was a tote system.
A tote.
Could you ever see? Could that cultural shift ever happen here? Do you think?
I don't think betting is gonna. I hope it's not gonna happen. And not while I'm alive. Maybe he'll catch up with it. That would be his problem, not mine. I just love the horse, and I think people that don't love horses shouldn't have anything to do with racing.
So it's all about the love of the animal for you, and the love of the thoroughbred.
The love of the animal, the love of the sport itself.
How competitive would you say that you are? How much does winning drive you, or do you just need to be a part of it?
You'd like to win. You'd like to win with good horses. That's the point of the whole thing.
Are you a good loser?
Oh, very good loser. Oh, yeah. I just don't go and see the horse the next race. I don't go to tracks, even when I'm in London.
How come?
I can see on television a lot more. I'm educated through television a lot more. You hear different opinions. You see the race. I think it's good.
The equine dynasty that served you so well. Clearly, this is about what you learned from your father and your grandfather and your great uncles as well. How important is it for you that your son is as passionate about horse racing as you are?
This is something you can't make anybody laugh. I leave it up to them. They want to go. Now they go, see a race, and I'm sitting here, see a big race. I tell you, if one of them goes 3 or 4 times and loses, I won't let him go. But every time they go, they win. Maybe I'm the unlucky one.
Do you ever think about what your life might have been like without horses or racing?
Probably I would have been healthier than I am now. I wouldn't have high blood pressure, diabetes, but no, I can't.
Prince Faisal, thank you so much for talking to me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I hope you enjoy it, yeah. But this is the whole thing. If you don't enjoy it, leave it. You can't be true to think unless you enjoy it.
Prince A.A. Faisal talking to me in his home in Riyadh a couple of weeks ago ahead of this year's Saudi Cup. Of course, he runs Mishriff, who, if he wins, will become the richest, if a horse can be rich, the highest earning thoroughbred racehorse in history. I know if I said winningest or winning most, it would just annoy you even more.